The Radio Forest Podcast.
Eric Bloom.
That's me.
Are you guys going to bring any motorcycles? I know back in the day you'd have motorcycles on stage, and I've seen you in Harley gear before. Do you still ride?
Not currently because my wife would kill me. That's not happening. You're an old man. Don't do that anymore.
What started your love with motorcycles? Did you have an uncle or somebody or a friend?
I've been riding my whole life. Ever since I had a sort of a crash, I'm done with that for the time being.
Was it pretty serious?
I don't know. I certainly hurt myself, but, anybody who rides a bike will tell you, they've crashed at least once. Going back to when we had a band house on Long Island, we didn't even have a telephone because we couldn't afford it. And that's how early and how far back we go. I was on my way to go use a payphone. It also shows you how far back we go before cell phones. And some lady pulled out of her driveway, and I hit her broadside.
Oh, man.
Riding my motorcycle. That was my Suzuki 500 two-stroke Titan. So I've been riding a long time.
Yeah, I sold my road bikes, and I just have a dirt bike kind of because of that. I had kids, and then I didn't ride anything for like 2 years. I was just cautious, stories like that you can't really avoid, and it's not your fault. So I've just been riding in the woods in the meantime, and I just kind of lost the love of the road. For now, I don't know what changed, but I definitely can sympathize with you about, the motorcycles.
Well, I'm a car guy. I've always been into motors and engines and stuff like that, bikes, cars, whatever.
You got any cool cars now?
I got a couple. Nothing super special, like no Ferraris or anything like that.
I was hoping more for a muscle car, maybe like a Chevelle or something like that.
I've had stuff like that. I had a 65 Malibu SS convertible. I have a Cadillac XLR. I like that. A 2004.
You guys got the newest album out now, The Symbol Remains. And I've talked to, I think, both Bouchard brothers in the last 2 or 3 years, and you once too, but a couple of things I didn't get to. I had heard that maybe Message in a Bottle by The Police is sort of borrowed from that opening riff from Blue Öyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper.
Well, interesting you mentioned that because we were in a rehearsal studio, it's got to be 20, 25 years ago. I went out to get a beverage from our rehearsal, and lo and behold, there's Sting sitting there because he was rehearsing in the same place. So I introduced myself, and we had a nice little chat. And he admitted the same. I heard it from Sting. He says, I stole that lick from Don't Fear the Reaper for Message in a Bottle. And I said, well, you're under arrest. So it was a very pleasant conversation. As a matter of fact, if you play those side by side, you can certainly hear it. And he was very pleasant. Gave me a couple of tickets too. He was playing, back when he was playing sort of a jazz era, because he does change up what he does from time to time. And a very nice guy.
And now that song ended up in Halloween. You guys are sci-fi fans, or at least I know that you are. Does that sort of encompass horror, or is that kind of cool at the time? Or talk me through a little bit of that song ending up in Halloween.
That's another interesting anecdote because Sony, the label we are on, or we used to be on, which used to be Columbia Records, they sold the movie people Don't Fear the Reaper without telling us. A friend of the band said, Don't Fear the Reaper is in the movie Halloween. We didn't even know it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's a true story. So we had to go back in and renegotiate that deal because we didn't even know about it.
Wow. Now, is it true that you also didn't know that was going to be used on SNL until you saw it live? That was like another thing. You're like, wait, what? Blue Öyster Cult, that's us.
Yeah, no, we didn't even know about that either. Yeah, the Cowbell sketch. Yeah, we didn't know anything about that.
That's so crazy. You assume bands are like in these meetings and negotiations, and SNL gives you a call and goes, hey, we want to do this. What do you think about that? What are the names of the bands? But nothing.
You could go in and watch that over and over, which I have. And matter of fact, I saw it live the night it happened. Of course, it threw me for a loop. I said, what? They're doing us? Wow. There are some mistakes in the factual content of that gag, of the story. The guy called Buck, and they call him Eric, Will Ferrell is obviously playing the guy that sort of looks like me back in those days, except, I don't have my belly sticking over my belt quite like that. A little bit these days, but not back in those days.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. And I think it's certainly listed now as, if not number one, but certainly one of the top 10 sketches of all time.
Top 10 for sure. Maybe even the top 3. It's just so iconic.
It certainly is. And for a while, T-shirts they sell on Times Square, like, more Cowbell is one of the top 2 or 3 T-shirts they sell on Times Square.
If you tell a classic rock fan, I got a fever, they already know that's a reference to Blue Öyster Cult.
I met a guy. I was just up at Q104.3 doing a little promotion, which is one of the top classic rock stations in New York, and with Ken Dashow, who is it's a streaming station also. We're doing a little radio promotion. He introduces me to a guy who's a young guy, probably a 30-something guy. Ken says, "Oh, this is that gag, that Cowbell gag. Eric is in that band."
No.
So that's a real band. That's a real band.
But that can work in your benefit because they're kind of making fun of the situation and the characters. Will Ferrell has the belly, so they use the belly. So fans might hear that and go, "I actually like that song a lot. Oh, that's a real. Oh, these guys have 20 different albums. This is amazing." So rather than poking fun at you, they might bring some people to the band.
Well, I think it worked out that way. It certainly didn't hurt us at all. It was kind of a boost, and it was a fun thing because I certainly didn't take that as anything disparaging to us. It was a lot of fun.
I heard that you had ran into 2 different people throughout your career, and possibly these guys several times. But Axl Rose came to see you guys in L.A., and also you went and saw Ronnie James Dio play at a college party that you also were playing.
Yeah, well, Ronnie and I were I can't say we were great friends, but we certainly knew each other. And we came from the same geographical area in upstate New York. We both made our bones up there. Ronnie was from Cortland, New York. Now, of course, your listeners are from the Boise area, but Cortland, New York is the upstate New York bar band scene was very insulated, and a lot of great bands came out of that area. And I'm talking about 50 years ago. There was a handful of bands that really started from that area. Ronnie was 2-3 years older than me. When I got to college in upstate New York, around 1965, I started my first band, and Ronnie was already established as a local guy there. So I saw Ronnie in every one of his incarnations. He was in a band when I got to school called Ronnie Dio and the Prophets, and I used to go see him play at fraternity parties. So he was playing like in the living room of a big house. So I got to see him play like at a fraternity party, like Animal House. There he was. Actually, he was playing trumpet and bass. He was the lead singer and the bass player and the horn player in somebody's living room. And I was a huge fan of his before he ever became really famous. He was a great guy.
That's amazing. So you got to see him become the Ronnie James Dio that we know.
Ronnie, went from Ronnie Dio and the Prophets to, when the psychedelic era happened, they became the Electric Elves. Then that became Elf. And then Elf was opening for Deep Purple. When Richie Blackmore left Deep Purple, he became friendly with the guys in Elf, and he turned that into Rainbow. And that's the genesis of Ronnie's climb to fame, because Ronnie Dio became the lead vocalist of Rainbow.
What's the quick story with Axl coming to see you guys? Not to get to SNL again, but basically We're Not Worthy to you.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. We were playing a theater in L.A. at the Wiltern Theater, and he just walked into the dressing room and said, "Hey, how you guys doing?" "Whoa, Axl Rose," and this was right as his first album came out. We were kind of blown away. He came in to say hi. So that was very neat. Very short story, though.
Last question. I know you saw Metallica on the Master of Puppets tour. What was it like then for the garage days when Metallica decided to cover Blue Öyster Cult?
Well, I guess, when they were in high school, they were BOC fans. They've covered us several times, both Astronomy and Veteran of the Psychic Wars, and they were fans of ours.
Did you like that released version of Astronomy?
Yeah, sure, but I thought the way they turned around Veterans was kind of cool, too.
Eric Bloom from Blue Öyster Cult, the newest album out now called The Symbol Remains. Eric, pleasure talking to you.
Great talking to you, and bye-bye.